I personally really enjoy the amount of creativity that we can have with Revit. And in this video, I'm going to show you another way, another very unique way of presenting your building, your project with different style and showing every aspect of it that is important. So, as you can see in here, I have created a full video about creating something like this, and I'm going to link it in top right corner in card section. But briefly explaining what I have done in here, I used and create visibility and graphic mostly for this scene that you can see. And if we go to visibility and graphic, you can simply press VV. In here, we've changed the setting for model category. As you can see in this part, for example, for columns, for these sections that we have in here, I have changed the line type, the pattern. I have put this on solid. The color, I have made it a little bit darker than the pattern, and also I have changed the weight so you can see these thick lines in here. For the pattern, exactly for this one, if I click in here, you can see I have used a solid pattern because as you can see there are a lot of details in here, and I didn't really wanted to like add patterns or hatch these sections. And also the color is a little bit lighter than what we have in this part, and the result is something like this. As you can see in here, it is very unique way of creating and highlighting different sections. If I turn the thin line off, you will see the difference much better. I have done this for most of the categories for different parts in here. If we go to visibility and graphic, again you can see that the cut also is changed for these columns. For example, if you check this part, this is the section that we have cut. These parts are in elevation, but these down sections are the parts that we have cut in here. And if there is any column in this section that is on the cut line, you will see it with another graphic as I have set them in here. They are very similar but a little bit darker, and we have done this for detail items, for floor sections, for furnitures. As you can see in here, if I zoom in, this project have a lot of details and it is very heavy to like navigate inside it. And this is because it takes a few seconds to load everything. If you look at these parts, all of the furnitures, even Inkscape furnitures, are different in their graphic. If I go back, you can see that I have set them on different line weight for their lines. It is 1 because I didn't really wanted to add that much detail, and the pattern and color are very simple. And for their pattern, again, I didn't change the pattern and also use the very light color to just show they are there. I have done this for furniture, furniture system, lighting fixture, and all of these things. And in different sections, I have combined these two colors with different like line weight, different patterns. As you can see in this part, for example, in here we have very thin line, and in this part we have thick lines because these sections are cut. As you can see, for example, for roofs in here, if we see the roofs in the elevation, they will have this line weight, but they are cut and they will be shown with thicker line weight, as you can see in this part. And also in annotation category, I probably have changed some other thing. If we zoom back, you probably see the levels, the grades in here too. I have exported them separately because in here we can't really change the color of these parts, especially the level heads. It is very hard to change, so I exported separately and they changed it in Photoshop. The exact thing that we are going to do in this video too. As you can see, this is a very small part of what we are going to use in this video, and the main part will be exactly this scene but with another method. I'm going to change everything right now, and we are going to combine these two sections in Photoshop together. So now I'm going to start with the background because as you can see it has very high quality and it takes us a lot of time to move and navigate in here. After this, I will select all of these parts and go to the override by element, I'm going to click on this reset and click on off. Now we probably see some parts in different colors. I have done this Christmas tree with just simply some lines for having a better graphic in here, and we can simply delete it. But I'm going to go to visibility and graphic 2. In here I'm going to expand all of these, and then I will select them this way. Then I'm going to click on this line section, clear override, click on OK. In the pattern section, clear override, click on OK. For the transparency, we didn't change anything. For the line in cut section, clear override, OK. And also for this part, and OK. Now if we look at these parts, all of those colors are gone, and I'm going to click on OK to have a very simple and without color. If you switch to these hidden lines, you will see the whole project, the whole view in just white and black colors. Also, we might have different graphical thing, jitters, and the extension is in here, and it is because the graphic display option is active. If you go to sketchy lines, you can turn these off or add a much less value for these sections. I really like this effect, so I'm going to keep it this way. I will also delete this part like this. These are on the override by graphic, and we actually don't really need them. I'm going to delete them, and so this is what we have now. The main environment, the main image of our presentation will be exactly this scene, and if we want, we can change it later. But for now, I'm going to just simply export this and import it to my Photoshop and change the things I want there. I'm going to move this a little closer to this part. We can turn this on, and also this crop region, so we see where we are going to export. Let's move this a little closer, and then I'm going to go to File, Export, Image and Animation, Image. If you want, you can change its name and address. And then I'm going to go to Zoom to section. We need a very high quality for here, so I'm going to increase this as much as I want. I think this might be enough, and I'm going to click on OK. I usually don't add this much detail, this much quality to my images, but in here, since we want to export it in another software and we are going to change a lot of different things about it, we need a very high quality. Okay, the image is ready, and let's see what it is. Perfect. The quality is really good. I can see all of these parts, also these sections. If you need to select these white environment and you need to change it, you better don't use jitter and extension at all, because it might take a lot of time to select these areas and the environment. But I think this is okay for me, and I'm going to just simply import it to the Photoshop. So we have it in here. This is the other image that I have exported previously, and we are going to combine these two together in a very graphical and architectural way. And in here I also have some images. This is the third floor. In here we have the entrance section, and the second floor, these truss in this section, and we're going to combine all of them in this part. Now let me first set the size of this image to something else, maybe something like this. This is too much. I think this one or this is much better. I'm going to set it in the center, make it a little smaller, maybe to here. Okay, I think this is good, and hit finish. I'm going to click on OK. In here I also want to make these parts a little darker, so I'm going to select my lasso tool. I'm not really familiar with these parts in Photoshop, I just use them. to this part in here like this. Okay, and with the black color, I'm going to create another layer and control delete. In this section, I'm going to change the opacity like this and unselect it. I also want to add a thick line around this part because it is the ground line, and I'm going to do it with this option, pen tool, and I'm going to start from this part to here, down to this section, in this part, up to here. Then from here we can change the thickness, the color. If we go to this part, we can change the size. In here you can change the alignment, you can change the type, and also the end of each part, for example in here, and also the corners. I'm going to put them in very smooth and fillet mode, and that's it. So I'm going to zoom out because we are done in here, and now I want to also create some circles in this part so we understand which part we are going to change. For example, based on what I have in this part, maybe we want to add some highlight of this part. Maybe we want to show a corner, an image, a render of this section, or maybe from this part or from this entrance. Each part that you want, you can highlight it this way. So I'm going to go back to this section and we're going to show them with just circles, and for that we are going to use this option, ellipse tool. If you hold your mouse on this part, you can select this ellipse tool, and in this part it is exactly like this pen tool, and you can change their mood, their size, their thickness like this. I'm going to create one. Press shift if you want to have a circle, not an ellipse. In here I will change its thickness. This is too much, we don't really need it to be like that. And also I will keep it this way. For inside, I'm going to use a very light color. This white is okay, and I'm going to place it. Maybe the first one I think can be in this section. Okay, I'm going to create a copy of this and I will place it in this part, and I'm going to create another one, and this one will be a little smaller. I'm going to put it in here. Maybe I want to also create one for this section, and I will use again a copy of this. Control Z. I'm going to create a copy of this, and then this one will be top in here. I want to also add a little one for this section too, and I'm going to do it with this option and place it in here. Okay, I think this is good. Maybe I need to move this one and this up in here. Maybe you need to add a smaller line, a smaller circle in this part, and all of these just depends on you. If you want, you can add all of these sections to your image. Then I will go to this section first because I'm going to add this image and also this one and some parts of this to my main image. If you want to see all parts of your project, you can check this part, and the main section is also very helpful if you want to add different perspective in different views to your project too. I'm going to go to this graphical view, and in here I will select some parts, maybe this section. I think this part is okay. I'm going to select a larger area like this, move it to here, up in this part, and I'm going to do the same layer via copy, Control C. In here we're going to paste it. Let's zoom in, and then I'm going to move this up and match it with this section. Maybe we need to like first match it this way. Okay, now both of these parts, these lines of the roof and the columns are exactly aligned. We can just simply change the opacity, okay, and create this circle for these parts. Going to move it inside, and then I'm going to invert the selection and then delete the extra sections, change the opacity. If you want, you can also change the saturation and the colors in this part too. Maybe increase the contrast. Maybe if you want, you can change the exposure. I also want to add a little bit more saturation and also vibrance, and click on OK. Then I'm going to change the size of this circle and match it with the image we have in here, like this, and from this part. Okay, I also want to deactivate this fill like this, so we have just the image in this part, and I'm going to move it under this section. If we have any open part, we can cover it this way and from this part. Okay, so in here, if we zoom out, we can see a presentation like this. If you want, you can also change the color of these ellipses. Maybe we want to go with some colors like this one, or in here, if I click on OK, let's see if it looks good or not. It's not looking bad. It is very smooth, and it could be a unique type. If you want to do it this way, you need to repeat it for all of these parts too. For example, for another section for this part, I want to add this image of this section. So I'm going to do the same, create a circle inside the image. I will start from here to this part, and I'm going to create a copy of this. Control C, paste it in here, then turn it into a smart object. Control T, make it smaller, move it to this part. Let's zoom in and see what we have. Going to make it a little bigger to here, and also to this part like this. Make sure it is exactly inside this part. Hit finish, and then for this one, maybe I think it was this. Okay, I'm going to change this fill, and this image will be under this part, so we can see all of these sections. For its color, also we are going to change it to the same color we had in here. For this section, we can repeat it. If you want, you can like use one of these renders, or go back to this section and like import a section for this part. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select some sections of here. We will see if we can set it exactly where we want. Let me just make a little bigger one like this, and then I'm going to create a copy of this. Okay, I need to select this section, create a copy of this, and I'm going to import it to here. Move it to the side. I need to change it to a smart object, and then we are going to first set it exactly in here above these parts. Let me first set it in this section to here. Move it up. I'm going to align it with these parts. Move it down a little bit, and let me just change the opacity. We can just simply move it to this part and align it with what we have in this section. Okay, a little bit more. down in here. Okay, perfect. As you can see, these sections are aligned together, and we can again create a maybe a small section, maybe a larger section of this circle. I probably need to move it to this side because I feel like this section is looking really good. And then I'm going to create my circle in here, move it a little bit down to this side. Okay, this is good. And then I'm going to change the opacity and create a copy of this. Let's just convert this to layer, click on yes. And then I need to also inverse the selection, delete the extra parts, and we can just simply have it in this part. I'm going to move it under this layer. Let's see where it is. I think it is this ellipse, maybe this one. It is this one. And I'm going to again change this fill and also the color. Perfect. And I want these two sections to be under this part. Okay, so I'm going to select them and move them in here exactly like this. Then I'm going to make this layer a little bit bigger to fill all of these parts. And then I'm going to change the saturation, then maybe some vibrance like this. Also contrast, click on OK. And this is what we have. I'm going to repeat it for these two parts too. So I created and filled all of these circles with the details and the information I needed. And now that I'm looking at it, I feel like for these sections, for these renders, we don't really need to change the color of these ellipses to something like this. For these other parts, I think we need and we can do that. But for the other sections, I don't really think that they are looking good. So I'm going to select them and I will change the color for this part to black. And also if you want, you can change the size of these parts too. So this is what we created. I think it is a very unique way of presentation. Instead of these sections, you can also show the material of different parts. You might need to highlight different sections. You might need to add detail for example, the level and the information about this door, maybe about these bricks, these unique bricks that I have designed and I have added to this project. You can add information for them. You maybe need to like create a 3D view of them, create and show the material of these different parts and informations like this. I've explained all of them, everything that you need for creating something like this, and I'm sure if you try, you can create it exactly the way you want. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial and I will see you next time.